Oh, and I'm live. This is my first time using Facebook Live. I used to do a Periscope show for a little while, but then I stopped. So here I am. Hi everyone, my name is Pamela Shea, and today I wanted to tell you a story, my personal story. On the 7th of July, 2003, when I was 19 years old, I was at a work conference one morning with my local team of salespeople for the company that I was working for. And I had just been on stage, and then I was walking back to my chair. And once I sat down next to my friend, Charlie, all of a sudden I got this huge headache, the worst headache ever, like ever. It was as though an invisible hand, had reached in and started kneading my brain. And I had no idea what it was, because even to this day I never get headaches. So I held my head and I turned to Charlie and I said, "My head really hurts." Except when I said it, it came out, "My head really hurts." And he turned to me and he said, "Are you okay?" And then apparently that's when I slumped forward and almost hit my head on the chair in front of me. So Charlie stood up and he called everybody around us and said, "I need some help." Everybody ran over. They picked me up on my armpits. They tried to put me on my feet. They asked me, "Can you stand or can you walk?" I couldn't stand or walk because I was super dizzy and my head was spinning. I figured I was just weak from whatever was going on. I had no clue what was going on. They picked me up and they walked me outside. They laid me on the ground, and then everybody started handing me glasses of water because they thought that maybe I was just dehydrated. I guess my eyes started rolling to the back of my head, so they called an ambulance, and then they called my parents. And when the EMTs came, they told them what was going on. And my guess is that the EMT knew what was going on, because he then picked up my left arm and he said, "Wiggle your fingers." So I did this, except nothing happened. So it was just like this. And so I was perplexed because I had always been an active, able-bodied person. So I picked up my own hand and I shook it like, "Why aren't you moving?" At that point, they strapped me onto a stretcher, and then they put 2 oxygen tubes up my nose. I vomited, and then I blacked out. By the time I came to, what I mean is, after I blacked out, that is my last memory of that day. I guess basically what I've been told happened after that is they rushed me over to the hospital, where the doctors they did a CAT scan of my brain, and they concluded that I must have had an aneurysm. So they didn't have any qualified neurosurgeons on staff at the time, or there or something at the time. So they had me helicoptered in to the University of Chicago Hospital, where the attending neurosurgeon named Dr. Yamini, he saw the scan, and as he tells me, usually when there's a bleed in the brain, if it's not that major, they'll kind of let you rest for a while and let the brain kind of sort it out and clean it out itself. But the bleed that was going on for my brain was big enough and significant enough that they had to operate immediately. So they had to shave my head down from the part all the way down over to my ear, and they removed this part of my skull to alleviate the pressure. And then they cleaned it up, stapled me back up, and put me into a drug-induced coma for about 10 days or 14 days. By the time I was conscious again, the entire left side of my body was completely paralyzed, and I had no idea what was going on. It turns out that at the ripe old age of 19, I had had a stroke. So if you were paying attention, in the beginning of my story, I said on the 7th of July, 2003, which means that yesterday was a very important day. Yesterday was my 13-year Strokiversary. And usually when I tell people, hey, it's my Strokiversary is coming up, or I just had my Strokiversary, there's usually a little bit of like confusion and a little bit of hesitation, and then I get the question like, is this a sad or a happy occasion? Like, why do you choose to commemorate that day? I choose to celebrate because that day when the stroke happened, something changed. Something changed in me. We don't have the time for me to go into the entire ordeal now. But I was in the hospital for 2.5 months, and the experience taught me so many things that frankly needed teaching. It taught me humility, it taught me compassion, empathy. It taught me that even at age 19, I was not invincible, which, I think everybody at 19 kind of thinks that they're invincible or untouchable, and that they could never, that they'll be here forever. So it taught me how to eventually, many years down the line, it taught me how to forgive my body, because I had actually carried for a long time the betrayal or a belief that my body had betrayed me for many, many years. So I finally let that go, forgave it, and learned to love my body even with its limitations. So to this day, I still have some residual weakness and effects in my dexterity and the strength on the left side of my body. You can kind of see even when I smile, it's a little, it's gotten a lot better, but even when I smile, it's a little bit asymmetrical. Up until then, when I was 19, I had lived a fairly superficial life. The stroke forced me to go deep inside and figure out how to cope in a healthy way without playing victim forever. I could have chosen to be like, oh my gosh, I had this stroke when I was 19, poor me, please feel sorry for me, I can't do anything. I can't be a vibrant person anymore. It taught me how to live life in a better way. It taught me discipline. It taught me commitment, communication, self-care. It taught me that I had to raise my standards as to who I kept around in my life. And the reason why it taught me communication is because now my needs were different. I needed people to slow down for me, or to wait for me, or maybe help me peel a cucumber, or tie my shoes. So that's how it taught me humility as well. Most importantly, my stroke inspired me to live a life of purpose. And it led to me developing a voice that I and other people could use. So I created Stroked Up so that other survivors could learn the tools to live more empowered lives. And so other survivors could also know that they can also thrive without letting the stroke become their identity. Your life did not end because you had a stroke. There's so much more to you than your body and what it can do for you. And it's really, really hard sometimes to find the words to communicate what it is you're going through internally so that others can understand and support you. So that's what I'm here for. I'm here so that you can borrow my words, and hopefully that will help you to not just be a survivor, but also be a thriver. And that, my friends, is why I choose to celebrate the Strokiversary. So you might be wondering why I'm broadcasting this today instead of yesterday. I've really learned to listen to my body. Yesterday I did not have the energy. I was just not in a place to be broadcasting, and to be sharing this message with people live I just felt really called to do something scary, do something different, and get that message out there. And put myself out there so that you can see me. And believe me, even up until the very minute that I pressed play on this broadcast, I was breathing through it and I was freaked out. I was like, I can't believe I'm about to go live again. I haven't gone live in forever. And oh my gosh, they're going to know all my secrets. So anyway, I just wanted to share that with you. Please forward this along to anybody that you think could use it, anybody who needs a little boost today, or anybody who's been through something that they could have chosen to be a victim about forever, but they didn't. Or, you know, if they're at that crossroads, please forward it along to them. Let them hear. Yay! Thanks, Marissa. It's always nice to hear feedback, especially when it's good feedback, when you're being vulnerable and it's scary. So, yeah, forward this along, share it with your friends, with anybody who could use this message today. Choose to celebrate your wins, because if you don't do it, why would anybody else? Much love to everybody. Have a good day. Now I'm going to celebrate. Bye-bye.